Hey guys, welcome back. I hope your season's going well. It's been an interesting one so far this year as it relates to the weather. Filming this video today, it's around 71 degrees, so a little bit warmer than what we typically like to see this time of year. But hopefully you guys have still been able to find some success despite the warmer weather. In today's video, I wanted to talk about a few strategies related to one of my favorite days to be in the woods, and that's November 15, or the firearm opener here in Michigan. November 15 isn't necessarily one of the better hunting days throughout the season, but it is one of my favorite days to be in the woods. And that's because there's such a rich tradition surrounding opening day, or November 15, here in Michigan. The numbers change a little bit year by year, but here in Michigan on opening day, there could be anywhere from 500,000 and at one point up to 750,000 gun hunters hitting the woods. Here in Michigan, we call them the Orange Army, just because there are so many guys with guns hitting the woods. Some of my earliest hunting memories come from opening day, hunting with my dad when I was just a little kid. I remember him waking me up early in the morning, carrying me to the car, getting me all situated in the back seat, and then we would be driving up 131 to our family property. And every once in a while, I'd wake up and look out the window and just see taillights for as far as I could see. It reminded me of rush hour traffic, just all the other hunters heading up north for their property on opening day. But enough with the nostalgia. Right off the bat, guys, I do want to talk about the most important thing as it relates to opening day, and that's safety. Please make sure that you are identifying your target before you're taking a shot. And if you have identified your target, please make sure that you know what's behind your target. Every year you hear another story about a hunter who was either shot or killed because somebody else either thought that that guy was a deer, or they shot at a deer, missed, and they didn't know what was behind the target and they hit somebody else. There's really no excuse for this. You should always make sure that you can identify your target before taking a shot. And if you do take a shot, you need to know what's behind your target. But even if you guys are extremely safe, the reality of it is you do not know how safe your neighbor is. You don't know his hunting background, you don't know his firearm background, you don't know his outlook on firearm safety. So in order to protect yourself, you need to make sure that you're wearing as much hunter's orange as possible. Just make sure that you are as visible as possible. Use a flashlight in the dark to make sure that no other hunter could possibly mistake you for a deer, or if they're shooting at a deer, that there's no way that they can't see you behind that deer. So I did want to touch on that before we actually dove into the strategies. Just please, guys, remember to be safe. Now let's talk about a few strategies that hopefully will help you guys find success on the firearm opener. And the first one that I want to talk about relates to stand location. November 14, or the night before opening day, when we're all trying to figure out where we're going to be sitting for the opener, there's really 3 locations that we really try to key on to try to increase our chances of having success. And the first location that we've had a lot of success with over the years, hunting both in the afternoon and in the morning, has been a field edge. A lot of times an inside corner, or where a hedgerow comes up and splits 2 different fields. And this is a lot different than archery season, mainly because during archery season, we don't really like to be pushing into these field edges in the morning because the deer are going to be out there, and you're going to risk the chance of spooking those deer and kind of sending them off into the bedding areas. Also, during bow season, you can't reach out as far into those fields. So while you might be seeing deer out in the fields, you're not going to be getting as many shot opportunities as you would be as if you were hunting a smaller food plot or maybe a travel corridor. This is a lot different though on opening day or during the firearm season, as you can practically touch, depending on your firearm, the entire field. So on opening day and even opening morning, we do tend to get a little bit more aggressive, and we like to hunt these field edges. And we like to hunt them for a few reasons. The first, as I previously mentioned, you can reach a lot further during the firearm season. So where those deer were out of range before, now those deer are in range. Another reason we like hunting those ag fields on opening day is because there's going to be deer getting pushed around throughout the day. Some guys only hunt during the firearm season, and some guys only hunt on opening day. And when they start pushing into locations that haven't been disturbed, since last year on opening day, they're going to be pushing deer out of those locations, and they're going to be sending them, in every different direction. Once bumped, those deer are going to start seeking out additional security cover, and being on an open field, you can see a lot. So there's a good chance if those deer are coming your way, you're going to see them as they try to sneak from one woodlot to the other. The next stand location that we really like to hunt on opening day is the polar opposite of the open field. But we like to hunt this location for a very similar reason, and that's hunting within the bedding areas. For the most part, up until opening day, we don't really push too far into our bedding areas. We like to hang on the downwind side and try to catch those bucks as they come out or as they're cruising the downwind side of those bedding areas. But this is different for the firearm opener, and we tend to get a little bit more aggressive and push into those bedding areas. When all the hunters start moving around the neighborhood and again pushing into locations that haven't been pushed into since last year, they're going to send deer flying. And again, when those deer get bumped, they're going to start running throughout the neighborhood trying to find new security cover where we will be waiting. So as those deer are feeding in the ag fields, we like to slip into the bedding areas well before daylight. So when the sun comes up and the guns start firing, or I guess a lot of times the guns start firing before the sun comes up here in Michigan, but regardless, when the guns start firing and those deer start running for cover, you're going to be there. One of the nice things about being on the bedding area as opposed to the field edge is a lot of times on the field edge, those deer are moving pretty quickly. They got spooked, they got bumped out of there. Sometimes they're in a dead sprint, sometimes they're trotting pretty quick, and you're gonna have to try to stop that deer before you make an ethical shot. But a lot of times this is different if you're hunting within the security cover, within the bedding areas. Once those deer run into that bedding area, a lot of times they slow way down, and a lot of times they actually stop, and then they just start walking around again. This makes it a lot easier to put a good shot on those deer. The third stand location that we really like to hunt on opening day, we've talked about a lot in other strategy videos, and that's a pinch point located between food and bedding. And again, we like to hunt this area for the same reason as we like to hunt those open fields and the bedding areas on opening day. So not only do you have the added bonus of hunting a natural movement pattern, a pinch point located between bedding and food, but on opening day, remember, deer are going to be running all over the place as they're getting bumped from other hunters in the neighborhood. And as they're getting bumped, they're going to start running back to that security cover. And if you're set up right on a pinch point that those deer have to move by before they can get back to the cover, that is a great stand location for opening day. Not every opening day is created equal. There are some years where there are more shots than others, where there's more hunters in the woods. A lot of that depends on the weather. If it's really, really rainy, if it's hot. There's one year where we had a lot of fog. There weren't a whole lot of shots that year. So some years there's going to be more deer getting pushed around than others, but just expect that there's going to be a lot more deer getting bumped and pushed your way on opening day of gun season. The next opening day tip I have for you guys is to sit as long as you can. You never know when those deer are going to move by your stand or get bumped from the neighbors and get pushed right past you. There are a lot of hunters out there that only hunt opening day. They're not used to sitting in the stand that long. Depending on how cold it is, they might need to start moving around to warm up. In a lot of years, you start to see those pickups pulling out of properties around 10 in the morning, 10:30 to go head to breakfast. And when these guys are getting down, walking back to the truck or back to the camp, and even when they go from camp back to their stand for the evening sit, they're going to be bumping deer. So if you can outlast the other hunters in the neighborhood and you can sit longer than they can, then you have a good chance of seeing the deer that they bump as they get down and head back to camp. Now, it seems like a lot of our opening day strategies are based on deer getting bumped by the neighbors and pushed past our stand locations. And that's because it's true. From my personal experience, and I've hunted every opening day since I was 10, there is no other day throughout the hunting season that deer are getting bumped and pushed throughout the neighborhood and running throughout the neighborhood like they are on the firearm opener. So you really want to take that into consideration when you're trying to come up with a strategy for opening day. If you can, if there was ever a day to sit all day, it's opening day. If you can't sit all day, try your best to sit until at least 11:30 or 12. Maybe get down, get something to eat, get something to drink, and head back to your stand by 1 or 1:30 at the latest. Some tips for helping you make it all day in the stand: try your best to stay comfortable. And that goes for a comfortable seat and to make sure that you're dressed appropriately. There's nothing that's going to get you out of your stand faster than having an uncomfortable seat, or if you're not dressed for the weather and it happens to be really cold and you're about to freeze your fingers off or freeze your toes off. Also, make sure that you're bringing enough to eat and to drink. That way you don't have to get down because you're getting thirsty or because you're getting really hungry. So make sure that you're dressing warm if it's cold. You're sitting in a comfortable stand. Pack a bunch of hand warmers, a lot to eat, a lot to drink, and sit as long as you can. Because you never know when that buck who's been hiding in one spot all season is going to get bumped by the neighbor and come running right by your stand. And guys, the last thing that I want to talk about in this video is to try your best to have fun. Everyone is going to be hunting for a different reason. Everyone is going to have a different goal that they're trying to accomplish. The goals for our hunting group are going to be different than our neighbors, which will be different than yours. But just try to remember This is such a fun day to be in the woods and to be with your hunting buddies. And if having fun for you is hunting until 9:30, 10 o'clock, getting down, going back and sharing stories, going and having breakfast, then by all means do that. You don't have to sit out all day. But on the flip side, if you're somebody who has fun sitting out all day, waiting on that buck, trying to sneak through as all those hunters are walking around, then make sure that you're sitting all day. Every hunting group has different goals. Everybody hunts for a different reason, and that's okay. Just try your best to remember to have fun on opening day. But guys, it's going to wrap it up for today's video on a few strategies to hopefully help you guys find success on opening day. If you guys have any additional tips for finding success on opening day, I'd love to hear about them. Or if you have any questions, please drop those in the comment section below. I'll get back to those as soon as I can, and we will see you guys in the next video.